Sorry that I begin like this, but anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Without any mask and nothing, I would just say I'm really tired, really tired. Um, so today we are gonna need a lot of this patience. Let's go to the heaviest part, which are knees, the knees. So let's go to the topic for today, which is Saturn. Okay, so first of all, Saturn. Saturn is the sixth planet of the solar system, and until the 1800s, when Uranus was discovered, for all the cultures of the world, this was the last planet, the last one on the solar system. So it was the last spot before we started with the spiritual realm, with expansion of the spiritual realm. To understand why Saturn, why the people name this planet Saturn, we have to remember that usually we relate Saturn, the Roman god, with the attributes of Chronos, which is the Greek god. But even if for many people it's the same god in different cultures, they are not. So what we are going to do is to try to understand what attributes have taken Saturn from Chronos, so we can understand why we put both concepts together as one. So let's go to this, which is very wide. So first of all, as always, let's go into the etymology of these two names. So first of all, for Greece, this god was Chronos. Chronos means time, so he's the god of time. So everything that you have with the name Chronos, like chronicles, for example, chronic, chronometer, all these names, chronology, all these names that we use to talk about time, we use the name Chrono. So remember that for the ancient ones, gods were not physical aspects outside creating things, were concepts that unified different things. Like, for example, if we are talking about past, present, and future, they call that the divinity of time. So Chronos is not a being, is a concept that unify the time. Okay? So now let's see this story. So Chronos is the son of the sky and the earth. The sky is called Uranus, and the earth is called Gaia. So Uranus and Gaia, the sky and the earth, have one child that is Chronos. It has many other childs, but mainly Chronos, which is the time. So when the heavens and the earth got together, the time starts to run. Okay? And the running of time, well, I didn't say this in Spanish, but the running of time, the movement of the things that transform everything, was called rea. Rea, that means the one that moves. The one that flows, the flow of time through space, the one that molds the space. Okay, for sure you have. Sorry, but because of this example, but for sure you have the name of Rea in diarrhea. Sorry, but diarrhea is to flow a lot. Basically, that's the name. To flow beyond the limits. I will keep with the story now. But so the story is that Kronos starts to develop its life in between heaven and earth. But heaven has a lot of ideas that the time couldn't manifest. So he decides to kill the sky, to transcend the sky and control the reality. So through that, the Uranus dies and gives birth to Aphrodite, and Aphrodite starts to create life, the beauty of life. So through Chronos, life evolves, transforms itself. It starts to create all the things. But what happened then? What happened is that that everyone was eternal. Everyone could live forever. So Kronos realized that maybe someday one of its children would be also the killer of himself, as he was for his dad. So before someone would kill him, he started to kill everyone. So he started to eat everyone. So that's why Kronos ate his sons and daughters. But this is an analogy. It's not real. It's not something related with something that happened with the aliens or anyone that came from the skies. It's not any real story. It's just an interpretation of how time is eating everything, is destroying everything that exists. Okay, this is the idea of how time dissolves everything that also creates by evolution. But there is one of the sons of Kronos that comes and kills his father. Who is him? Zeus. Zeus is the one that is able to kill Kronos and set everyone free. How? Because Zeus is the light, is the lightning god. So that means the awareness, the consciousness. Okay, that's the enlightenment. And this is why Zeus can transcend time, because when you become aware, when you become conscious, you transcend time. You can go beyond. Okay, so this is a story. It's not something that really happened. Are concepts. Okay, so remember, there are concepts. They are not real stories. Okay, they are a way in which they could explain difficult things. Because in that time they didn't have DC, they didn't have Marvel, no cinema, so they had these stories. Okay, so you get Kronos here. Satisfecho. So Saturn comes from the adjective satur, that comes from the verb satire. That means satisfy. Satisfaction. You see the origin of the word? Sad. Saturn, Saturnus, means the one that is satisfied. The one that is satisfied. So what is Saturn and why it exists? Well, this is an Etruscan word that is talking about what happened after you work the fields. Remember, yesterday we spoke about Mars, the god Maris, that was taking care of the fields. Okay, so once you worked the fields, once you did everything you had to do, working hard in the fields, in the farms, with the animals, with the plants and everything, you start to make the products of all that. So you make the manufacture of all the elements that you were working with, and suddenly comes the time that you have to take benefit of everything that you have done. All the work of the year, now it has its gifts for everyone. So you are able to enjoy, to celebrate everything you had accomplished. So it's because of this that they started to share the products, that they started to eat everything, to drink everything, to get drunk, to get full, to share, to give gifts to everyone, make some presents, because they have so much, and they celebrate for many days because they were happy because they did all that by themselves. So they ended satisfied because of their work, because of the things that they accomplished with the work. They were satisfied, and they had to celebrate that moment. So the Romans used to call those days of celebration Saturnalia. Saturnalia was the time in which the people used to celebrate all the things that they had accomplished, everything that they done, all the effort that they put on life, they found it here in this moment when they share and celebrate together. So this Saturnalia was not just one day. This was like a whole month. It was a whole celebration because the families got together, and that time they needed to get to be together. So they came from the mountains, from the fields, everywhere, and they got together to share everything that they have done. So it was like a kind of a month of celebration. And now, when the Saturnalia ended, it ended December 21st. Why? Because it's the solstice. The solstice, from the point of view of the northern hemisphere, the solstice of winter is the day of the longest night. So it means that the sun is the southern as it could go. Okay, and for 3 days it stays there during the night in the shadows. And in between the 24th and the 25th December, the sun starts to come back to the north, starts to move again to the longest days, announcing that is coming the spring in the future. So the 24th, 25th December is what the Romans call Sol Invictus, which means the sun has been victorious over the darkness. The sun was invictus, and it comes back to the longest days. So this was the moment of the end of Saturnalia, which means now is the beginning of the new year. Okay. So these traditions, Saturnalia and Sol Invictus. Saturnalia is a tradition from Italy, from the Etruscan people. And from the Mediterranean cultures, they celebrated the solstice in Sol Invictus. So the Romans took these two celebrations and they spread it in the Roman Empire throughout all Europe. And Europe created the countries that then will colonize the whole entire world, bringing these two traditions with the name of Christmas. So this is why we celebrate Christmas. This is why in Christmas we get together, we give ourselves gifts, presents, we decorate our houses, we put the family together to celebrate all together. We eat as much as we can to say, oh, we are full, because we have to celebrate all the things that we accomplished in our year. So we are not celebrating Christ, we are celebrating Saturn. And we celebrate that on December 25th because it's 3 days after the solstice, so it's Sol Invictus. So we celebrate that because of the solstice after 3 days of darkness. So what happened then? The Christians, they just came and put Christian philosophy into these stories, into these traditions. They didn't change anything. They just put the image of Jesus Christ here, and that's it. Okay? So next time you celebrate Christmas, don't think that you are celebrating something from Christianity. You are basically celebrating everything that you accomplished in that year with all the loved ones, and that the sun is moving again towards the north. So what is the relationship between Saturn and Kronos? It's not the same god. It means that Saturn is the one that celebrates that we had accomplished 1 year, so we can begin a new one. And that's why we relate the concept of Kronos, because you celebrate Saturnalia when something ends, so something new can begin. A cycle ends for a new one. So the important thing about these celebrations, to know these celebrations today, is that these things are happening right now. Even if the traditions have shaped this into different cultures, different traditions, different religions, or whatever, the idea in which they are based on are the same, which means that they are celebrating things that are normal. I mean, solstices and equinoxes will happen always. They never ended. It's something that it wasn't from the ancient times. It's happening now. Okay, the gathering with the people, with the family, to celebrate all the accomplishments, all the things that we had accomplished in our year. We do that also at the end of the year, because the year ends and there's a calendar, there's a moon, there's a sun, and you can see it, and there's a time. Okay, so so it's not an old tradition, it's something that is happening now. If we follow any religion, any tradition, but knowing that these celebrations are because of things that are happening actually today, this helps us to live much more in the present, here and now. So now going to the psychological aspect of this. During 11 months of the year, we have been doing many things, working, going around, doing things, achieving goals, knowing people, many things. We travel, we do many things around. And during the last month, there is something inside of each one of us that even if we don't believe in the traditions of the end of the year, most of the people feel this pressure inside to make a balance, to think about what have we accomplished in that year. And you sit with the beloved ones and with the new friends that you did, with the family, and you start to speak about the stories that happened to you that year. You start to share about all the goals that you commit in that year. You bring some gifts from the trips and stories to tell to everybody. You start to share with the loved ones about how was this time. So it's because of this, the last month of the year, we start to think about what we have accomplished. And I was able to do everything that I was supposed to, or should I plan and make a new programming for the next year? So during that moment of the year, we do a planification for the next year. I want to do this, I want to accomplish that. And you make like a summary of the whole year that have passed. So during that month, the person is doing like a review of all the wealth in the physical, the emotional, and the mental aspects that you have earned, that we have earned along the year, that we have accomplished within. For sure, to many of you had happened that even if it's very silly to celebrate a new year, because it's impossible to say exactly, okay, this day at this exactly time is the new year, because we are on a cycle constantly. But we divided the time in that way. Even if it is kind of silly, we inside feel like this pressure of saying, I am changing 1 year. Everything's changing for me. Do I have all the tools I need to face a new cycle? What have I harvested for myself, for my own, in the past cycle, in the past year? What should I do? So this thought of I have to start a new path, a new year was given to the last planet of the solar system for them in that time. So this planet was the one representing the judge of the time, the one that says, what have you accomplished at the end of this time? What have you accomplished? Because that planet is the last one. They thought it was the last one. So that planet is the one that says you accomplished to reach to the last spot. So what have you accomplished? So that's why they call this planet Saturn, because it's the judge. It's the judge that says what that shows you what have you accomplished, what have you earned. So Saturn is the planet of revision, is the planet of the karma. Remember that yesterday I explained about the 3 bodies in our solar system. So we have the physical body in the 4 main planets around the sun, the ones that are made of rocks. Then we have the emotional or the soul, which is Jupiter and Saturn. And then we have the spiritual, which is the last 2 gas planets. So if we get this, we will remember that when you as an individual accomplish to get out of the physical, to transcend the idea of the ego, of the self, you start to find the purpose of your soul. So when you reach Saturn, the energy of Saturn is the one saying, who are you working for? Is this what you are doing for your own individual soul? Because remember, there's no one divided soul. Your soul is spread along the time, in the past, in the present, and the future, connected to your whole genealogical tree. So it's not an individual soul. It's a soul spread around. What Saturn says to us is that we have to make a review of everything that happened to us in the past lives, traumas, all information that is connected to our soul, to review the past, the karma, all the things that we had accomplished, the tools that we got during the experimentation of the existence. What have we accomplished through time? So that's why we have to make a review of our entire history. That's Saturn. So Saturn is the one saying, be patient, we have time. You will find a way in which you will be able to do this. Understanding. There's no methods to do this. You will find your own. Don't worry, but it will happen. There's no rush. And something important regarding Saturn. When I say there's no rush, what I mean is don't be pressed by others that has already the answers. And why is this? Because that guy that is still with the mind in Mars, fighting to accomplish goals every day, to accomplish, to survive in the earth, okay, is living that reality as the most important thing, because is living that, is experiencing that. So sometimes comes people from a Neptune mind that says, hey, what you're doing is a dream. Nothing really matters what you are doing, because we are an ocean. We are all one, reflecting each other. So there's no need to fight. There's no purpose. There's no blah, 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 blah. That's the Neptune mind. But for the person that is still with the mind in Mars, that thought is not helpful. That idea is not helpful unless you're looking for it. So what I mean about not being in a rush is that eventually everyone will get into every one of the points of views. But we cannot try to live farther and faster according to the process of others, or following the process of others that are already in Neptune saying all these things, pushing the others that are still in the earth, creating things in Mars, fighting for the daily life, pushing them to the spiritual world. Just be yourself and try to concentrate in what you are trying to do now. And eventually, if you do it right, you will get into the other ones. And I say this regarding Saturn because Saturn is a personal review. It's the inner concept that says, what have you accomplished? It's not a karmic um, it's not a karmic gathering outside that says you have done it fine, so you win, you have done it wrong, so you're out. It's not something like this. Saturn is an inner process that we have to review for ourselves according to our process. So when we listen to people that says, for example, that gives cathedra, that gives uh, their point of view, saying you have to do this or that and so on in order to accomplish this or that. From that point of view, it's okay as a tool. You can get it, you can have this information, but don't despair to try to live like that if naturally your life didn't give you the tools to do it. Okay, so there's no rush in the inner process. Okay. And remember also, this planet, Saturn, is saying no rush, but no stop. And why? What is this? This means that not having a rush, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do stuff. We have to act, we have to do stuff physically, emotionally, mentally. We have to take action in stuff. During 11 months of our year, we have many things to do, so we can make a review in the last one and to think about what can we improve for the next cycle. So it's not about, okay, I will stay and maybe someday will come the tools that I need in order to evolve. No, Saturn is the one that says you're not going to evolve if you don't do stuff. You have to do. Okay? You have to do in order to know what have you earned. Okay. Let's go to the information for today. The vibration for today is do. The statement for today is I am the balance of the path. The code for today is eternity. The 3 times don't work in a line, but organically, and in the same instant in different tunings or frequencies. For that, the temporal universe is better understood as a song that has rhythm, the past, melody, present, and harmony, future. The song, the final product that combines the 3 of them, is called eternity. This means the temporal concept of what we spatially call ether. Let's go to the alignment. Sit comfortable, close your eyes, and concentrate in your breathing. Taking deep breath, we start to become aware of each part of our bodies, caressing them, stretching and yawning. Take a deep breath and become aware of the body that you are in, the room, the house. Become aware of the village, the city where you are. The country, the continent, and even the planet where you are. I take a deep breath and I set the intention to inhabit here and now fully this body. I take a deep breath and I expand my body, becoming this room. I take a deep breath, becoming the house, the building. I take a deep breath, becoming the village, the town. I take a deep breath, expanding myself and becoming the country. I take a deep breath, expanding myself and becoming the continent. I take a deep breath, expanding myself and becoming the planet. I am the earth, and in front of me I can see the light of the sun, surrounding me with its heat. I perceive the moon spinning around me. I take a deep breath and I observe Mercury, Venus, and Mars. I see the asteroid belt around us, dividing us from Jupiter and Saturn, and farther away, Uranus and Neptune, and by the limits of the infinite in the sky, Pluto. I am the solar system. I observe Saturn with its rings, and I extend my arms to grab the planet with my hands, and I bring it towards me, putting it in between my legs, seeing how its rings touch both of my knees. I contemplate the thousands of rings made of trillions of pieces of ice, and from above I can see the planet with its north pole with the shape of a hexagon. Take a deep breath and recognize that Saturn is the place where all my paths head to, is the library of my soul. All the ways of my past goes to it. My path of the present and the path towards my future. All of them are connected to this world. I recognize in the gravity of Saturn all the things that I had accomplished, all the things that I earned in my experience, in my lives. As I can find there all the things that I still need to get in the future. Each ice rock is a memory. Each ring is a path. I take a deep breath, setting the intention to activate by this planet all those things that I had accomplished, all the wealth, the tools that are within my body, my soul, and my spirit. And I set the intention to unify all them in coherence, so I can give my next step in balance. And take a deep breath. With my hands, I bring all this information of Saturn towards both of my knees, activating the memory of my path. I am the balance of the path. I am the balance of the path. I am the path. I am the balance of the path. I know I am. With my hands, I start to bring this consciousness from my knees to all my body, caressing, stretching, and yawning. Y cada uno a su tiempo vuelve aquí y ahora. And each one at its own time, come back here and now. Remember that until the 22nd of March, we are activating the mantra I am wisdom before we go to sleep. Thank you everybody for being here and now. See you tomorrow at the same time.